Pop in, say hi. If you've never come into one of my lives before, I am Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. And last week I wasn't here, so I am curious to see who's going to pop in and hang out with me for an hour and a half, have a little chit chat, catch up on what everybody has been doing. If you don't know, this is my second live show that I do each week, Sunday night. Well, it's actually my first live show. What's My Good Cheer was a project that I started a few years ago. I then took it over to Instagram and worked in that channel and practiced my craft. And then I don't know, I think it's been 2 years now since I brought this live show back to my Prairie Dodgers where it belongs. Because in moving forward in the future, and I'm always a little bit forward, I'm a lot forward thinking, right? I try not to go too far ahead, knowing that, I'm only one generation. And I suspect my bloodline and your bloodlines, like we're moving forward. We're going to be heading down that road for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. And can you imagine what will even look like, let alone be like, right? Maybe we'll be like E.T. in that stage of evolution because, at one time we were Neanderthals, weren't we? Right? And I think I would be kind of scared to bump into a full blown Neanderthal in this stage of evolution that I am in because I think we would look totally different. Our conversations, our languages, the countries that we're living in, our religious ideas, like we have changed so much. And I don't suspect that there's any way that we can hold on to the beings that we are right now for much longer in this digital age, right? That we're in right now. Oh my goodness. It's moving us along and it's ready or not, here we come. And that's the truth. I think everybody recognizes that. And each one of us is going to have to make that choice whether or not we're going to go along for that ride or if we're just going to, I don't know. I'm not going to say go extinct, but maybe not evolve, right? Just branch off into something else, right? Maybe branch off into something else. Things are changing, things are always changing. And even though I am not a big fan of change, I'm not adverse to it, right? Because changes come into my life constantly since I was a little kid. It's something that I've become accustomed to, even though, like I said, maybe not a big fan of. But I have to say, in this day and age that I'm sitting, this moment that I'm sitting in right now, I'm kind of grateful that I allowed myself to be pulled along. And if you hang out with me, right, we're this close to each other in this moment. And some of my favorite people in the entire world hang out with me on Sunday nights. And to be honest with you, for a lot of these people that I have such a connection with, I have no idea what they look like. They know what I look like, but I have no idea what they look like. And we're close. so close that we write letters and send emails and check in on each other when we don't see each other for a while, right? Just to make sure that everybody is doing okay. I think that is friendship. It's in that change that we're going to be moving into, that adapt and conquer and ride the waves, that we're going to find ways to connect, right? Whether we're going to meet up and have babies and stuff. My age, I'm a little bit old for that. But you know what? And I would say probably for a lot of my audience too. But I am kind of relevant in the topics that I touch on to all different ages. And that's the truth. And, you never know where you're going to bump into that person who is your perfect, I'm going to say opposite. I like that word in being opposites when it comes to your partners. Not so opposite that you can't connect in any way, but opposite in a way where you have gaps or you have strengths or weaknesses that your partner can fill, and not only just fill, but to teach you how to fill it for yourself, right? It is about change, and I would much rather do it comfortably with people that I appreciate, people that I've gotten to know, rather than people that will take some time in feeling out, right? People have become so good at wearing masks these days that it does take a long time to get to know people, to feel them out, to learn who you can trust, who you can appreciate, who you can have true connections with. It does take time. And I like that I can connect here and feel safe within my own environment, and you guys can be where you like to be, right? In your comfies, literally your comfies. There have been many times where I've been sitting here in my live shows. I'm not sure if this live show, but in some of my live shows when it's just been so hot that I've worn like a top and sat here in my underwear, but because I'm from the waist up in my lives, nobody knows. And yet I'm not discomfortable. Is that a word? I'm not I'm not uncomfortable in doing that because, right, we're all friends and I'm not being disrespectful and I'm not being inappropriate in that, right? Today I'm wearing a dress, so I'm appropriate just to give you guys the heads up. But it's kind of nice that each one of us can come in and be ourselves, Who would have ever thought that we could do this in a live show, right? And that's the truth. Hello, Owen. Hello, Tammy. Yes, we did miss you, Cindy, Prairie Dodgers, and still visited your channel and watched your past videos of yours. I know you did, Tammy. I came in and hopefully I didn't miss your comments. I always feel bad when I come into my community and I see that you've left comments like a few days ago and they go, oh my goodness, I didn't even see this one come across my path, come across my feed and give me an opportunity just to touch base, just to say hi, right? It's why I send out the Christmas cards every year. There's possibly going to come a moment where there's going to be so many people, optimistically, so many people that I'm not going to have that time, right? Or energy to send out Christmas cards to everybody. But for those people who have been with me since the beginning, right? those people who have invested in me, because you are invested in me when you just even just come in and hang out with me on Sunday night, or you pop in to my What's Good Cheer, which I do 5 days a week. That's an investment of your time. And I never want to take advantage of it or take it for granted that that's always going to be the case. But I sure do appreciate it because it does signal to me that we can make real connections on live, right? On YouTube. That it doesn't have to be like a Facebook thing. It does, right? It doesn't have to be on Messenger. And a lot of these sites, they are entrapments too. And you guys probably have seen that in different news broadcasts and stuff, how people get entangled in that. So in the moment, I'm quite comfortable with the crew that I have. And I'm very appreciative as people roll in, as we get to meet new people who come in and just sometimes they don't come in and connect online with us, but they're in the background, right? Because there are all kinds of people. There are lots of people out there that aren't physically social in any way. Not like any one of us is actually physically social in this moment, but we do have a connection. I feel that we do. And I hope that you guys feel that same way about me. Otherwise, I'm kind of bewildered as to why you guys come in and hang out with me every week. But last week, it felt a little odd. I got into the city about 7 o'clock, and I knew my live was at 7:30. I was done. I was totally exhausted, but I still had to unload my gear. I still had to wash the outside of my sister's vehicle, wipe everything down, vacuum the inside of her vehicle, get it ready to return to her. I walked into my apartment. When I walked into my apartment, it was already after 8 o'clock. And I knew that one of you would have messaged me, right? Or emailed me right away because a lot of you guys do connect with me that way and let me know that you expected me to be in, but I just did not have it in me. It was a weekend, you guys. Like I normally don't spend time with that many people. I enjoyed it very much. I kind of volunteered myself. I know I mentioned that I would volunteer. Nobody asked me to volunteer, but because he was kind enough to let me come in a day early to set up camp and stuff, that, I thought that I would um, offer to help, right? And when my brother in law said that they're always looking for volunteers, and I says, oh my goodness, well, in that case, I volunteer. So I suspected that I was going to help, but I thought I was going to help with like other designated and volunteered people that were coming in to help. And I was very surprised that of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that showed up that weekend, that there really wasn't that many volunteers. There were a few guys that came in to help set up the stage. The main guy who came in to set up the stage, he was not very well. Like he had some illnesses and some problems. And he wasn't even planning to come in he wasn't planning to come to the festival. He just wasn't up to it, right? But he knew that setting up the stage was big a big thing, right? And he took charge of that. Everybody looked towards him. I think there was maybe four of us. I got up in the morning, made myself a cup of coffee and some toast, and when I was done, I just got dressed, washed my face, and then I just offered my assistance, right? Not knowing what I was going to do, knowing I could probably haul stuff around a little bit, right? And right off the hop, he throws me this great big box. And inside this box were brand new microphones. And so I had to set up all the microphones and just kind of, right, bluff my way through what I was doing. Also, I had to set up different amps and speakers. There were big speakers, speakers that were bigger than I, right? And he just said, Cindy, hold these, asked my name, and I told him my name. He says, okay, hold this over here, bind a cord with this end, stuff it in here, the other end goes in there, and on to the next one. And I spent about an hour doing that. After I think I did the amps and the speakers first. I think amps and speakers are the same thing, in all honesty. Maybe not. Maybe speakers are for the music to come out. The amps are actually for the guitars and the drums and all those other instruments that the guys play and ladies play. And then I set up the microphones and then the lighting for the stage, and they were awesome. They were like 8 feet tall and about this come over here, about this big, and they had all different color lights on them. And so I had to set those up too in different parts of the stage, so the bands at nighttime would have some pretty glorious lighting on them. And then the soundboard came off the truck, right? I see, like, in different feeds and different posts and stuff, like the guys who do the DJs and stuff having the soundboards and stuff. So I knew what they were. And I all of a sudden I hear, Cindy, get over here. And I just like, what? And I went over there. He says, untangle all these wires, color code them, and attach them into the back of this soundboard. And they're all numbered, Cindy, leaving it to you. And I've got to go. And I went, oh, this is probably the most important piece of equipment during the whole festival, right? This weekend. And I did what he told me. And he, in the meantime, was setting up the rest of the soundboard in the front part of it. And then I walked away and I went and sat in my lawn chair, my camping chair, just to have a drink and relax because we'd already been at it for a few hours. And then he came right up to me, and just so everybody could hear, he just said, Cindy, you're so amazing. You're so smart. I want to take you on the road with me as a roadie. He says, you got everything right, right? I just said to him, I says, like, I can follow direction. You told me what to do. So I did it the best that I could. Whether or not I got it right, that was you to judge in that. But I'm very grateful that you thought that I did such a. And he raved about me, and everybody raved about me, and I was kind of proud of myself in that, right? Because it was something I had never done before. I felt like part of the crew. Everybody was really, really nice to me, right? And even though I'm not somebody who really appreciates music like these guys do, like the guys who came to volunteer were actually drummers, guitarists, right? Just people. Oh, one of the guy's sons who wanted to be who liked music but didn't want to be in a band, but he was interested in maybe being a stage manager. So he was up there learning the craft too, and it was a lot of fun. And then over the course of the weekend, so much needed to be done. Like, he had five, like when they said it was a pig roast, I thought it was going to just be one great big pig. No, it wasn't. There were five pigs. There were boxes and boxes of potatoes that they threw on top of the pigs, like halfway through Saturday. and then we husked all the corn. Then we had to set up all the tables. It was a lot of work. I was really actually quite exhausted by the end of it because it didn't seem that he had any volunteers. Now, people came by and saw me and my sister helping out and stuff and offered to help. And of course, we put them to work. But I was very surprised that there were no designated volunteers for that weekend. I would say for maybe next year, you get a volunteer crew together and then just offer them their tickets for free that weekend. And then you have people for picking up garbage and people. I We had to run around and find people to cut up all the pigs and stuff. The guy who was putting on the pig roast, super nice guy, but he was trying to have a good time during the weekend himself and making sure that everything was running well. Every time somebody had a question or problem, which was always, that he went off and did his very best to find the answer. And then, me and a few other people just tried to take the load off of him so that, he enjoyed his weekend. We all enjoyed the weekend. It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work. It really was a lot of work, but it was so much fun. It was an experience that I had never had before, right? And change is good, right? Change is ever present in our life, and we should never be afraid to try new things. And, I'm going to go there again early next year. And if that gentleman, if he's feeling well, that he'll say, Cindy, just get to work. You did it right last year. You know what you're doing. Go ahead and do it again. And I would be able to do it again, maybe even a little bit quicker than I did it this past time. But yeah, it was a really great time. Over 15 bands played during the weekend, all rock and roll for the most part. There were some folk singers, which I was very surprised because from what I heard that it was going to be pretty hard rock all weekend. But there were some folk singers there, and my brother-in-law Tom, he was a guitarist and had his own band that was playing there that weekend. He sat in with a couple of the singers and stuff that just came in with their guitars and didn't have like a band themselves. So he had electric guitars, and there was a gentleman there who helped with the setup and the stage, who had the son who wanted to be a stage manager, and he was a drummer, so he sat in with some of the bands. I think he said he played with three different bands during that weekend, right? So everybody got to have an amazing experience, a different experience. And the drive out there, oh you guys, it was so wonderful. You probably imagine how I felt driving out there, and my brain was going 100 miles an hour of like, how do I make this my life where I can be out on the road like lots, like at least once a month, be out on the road and drive down highways and see different landscapes and go camping, and right, and how do I make this my life? And it was very reminiscent. It was, right, not saying that it was sad, but at the same time longing. That's the word I was looking for. I was longing to find a way to make it my life. And, I made that goal that when my pension kicks in, I'm going to put my second pension. I have two pensions come come November that I'm going to put one of the pensions, which is maybe, right, a few $100s, maybe a little bit more than a few $100s, and just apply that to a vehicle. And then with my income tax return, right, and and God forbid, right? That there are no catastrophes. I don't need to see dentists. I don't break my glasses. I don't have a catastrophe go on in my life that I need to come up with a big chunk of money. That money is going to go towards a vehicle. In my retirement, I really would like to spend a lot of time on the road. I think I would really like to apply myself in that exploring the outside, to really spend it in the provincial parks here in Manitoba, and also in the provincial parks in Ontario, because you guys know that I love Ontario, and do some rock hounding out there. And if at all possible, just continue to save that one pension, and then maybe get myself a little RV, right? That I could tow behind me in my vehicle. And then maybe we can get down to Arkansas, right? Or we can get down to it's Arkansas, and what's the other state? I can't remember the other state. Arkansas, Arizona. Oh, it came to me right when I was about to give up. Arizona, because there's a lot of crystal digging to be done down there, right? And it would be kind of fun in the wintertime when it's like 40 below zero here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. If you don't know where I'm from, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, that, here in Manitoba, going to Arizona in the wintertime is kind of a retirement thing, right? We have lots of people when they retire here in Manitoba, they like to go down to Arizona for the winters. Now, I don't know how well I would handle the heat in those states, because I know those states get pretty hot. But at the same time, I know that's where all the rocks and crystals are. And you guys know that I love digging for the rocks and crystals. I'm even trying to figure out how to put a little trip. I don't think I'll be able to do my 2-week trip this year. I just can't afford it. And, but if there's an opportunity that I can borrow a car or get one inexpensively, I know I do have enough money to rent enough camping spots and put the gas in the car for maybe a short week trip, and be able to get my crystal digging in, and to be able to do some YouTube videos. And you guys know I like to do the provincial park tours in Ontario. And I picked the other day, I picked 4 provincial parks that I would like to go. Actually, 3 of these parks I have been to before, but only one of those 3 parts I had done a video for, only because I deleted some footage to make some space on my phone, which I thought I needed to do. I was, right, not very technically inclined. Didn't realize that it was just my YouTube account, that I could have left that footage on my phone. But it is what it is, and we learn by our mistakes. But I have this maybe small opportunity that maybe in September there's that small chance. It's a small chance, you guys, but that longing, right? That desire to be out on that road. And it's important for me to have the outdoor explorers, right? My brand is about exploring the inside and the outside. And if you haven't seen any of my outdoor explorers, I'd say go check out my videos on my main page. I have lots of fun, exciting for me. And, for you guys hanging out with me, I hope you enjoy those videos too. And I'd like to do more of those videos. And so that's the plan for me. And so I am right working towards it, and I understand nothing happens unless I put that effort in myself. I recognize that, there's a good chance that it's just going to be too far out of my reach. But that's not going to stop me from trying, because I have zero chance of going in September if I don't try. And that's the truth, right? So I'm just going to trust if I move towards it, it will move towards me at the same time. And we'll be able to have some outdoor explorers for September. For August, you guys, today I downloaded the first 2 days of the videos that I took from the festival that I went to. Sorry, I just had my dinner. The festival that I went to. So I downloaded all that video. Then I went into my audio in my YouTube uh, studio. I have a studio on YouTube, so I went in to pick some music that would be suitable for my video. And I was thinking maybe next Sunday when we get together, it could be Saturday, but I'll let you guys know. I'll post something to my community channel. And for those people there that I have your email, I'll shoot you an email to let you know that I'm going to do a premiere. If I do the premiere Saturday, then I can still be here on Sunday night, right? But if I can do the premiere here on Sunday night and still be able to post it as a regular video, then that's what I'll do. And we'll see how it goes. Uh, the idea was maybe that I was going to do it this Sunday, but I tell you, you guys, I was so done when I came home from that weekend. I felt like I had gone on my 2 week trip in Ontario. That's how exhausted I was. And so all week it was a little bit of an effort to get anything done, in all honesty. But I did my best, right? I did my best, and I managed to get a few things done along the way. And, it's only in that effort, right? And I thought today was a good start. I'm ready. I'm ready to edit. Everything is in line of um, when I took the footage. I've got my music down packed, and we'll see how smoothly it goes. And we'll have a video. I'd like to see if the video is an hour and a half, because that would make me happy. If I were to do it as a premiere on Sunday night, because my live shows on Sunday night are usually an hour and a half. So it would be kind of nice if I had an hour and a half's worth of uh, content that I could put something together for Sunday. A little bit concerned though. Um, I'm not sure whether or not I'll monetize the video, uh, because it's going to get claimed, right? Because these are all well known songs that these bands were playing in. But to give it proper justice, and each band its fair moment in showing what they can do, and so people could really get the feel of the pig roast, the weekend festival, music festival that we had, that you guys could have a true experience of it. I think I'm going to leave the music in, which means that the writers and the producers will probably claim the music because it's all very popular, right? Old rock and roll, most of it. Like I said, there was some folk music too. But there was a lot of original music too in the at the festival, and really good original music too. And on top of that, I bumped into an old friend I haven't seen in years and years. I used to work with her in one of the nightclubs I worked at, and she was a good friend, and also she used to hang out on base quite a lot too. So we were good friends, and she was actually a guest at my wedding when I got married. And I really loved her. She was one of those people that I felt was very beautiful on the inside, but also very beautiful on the outside. And you don't come across those people very often. And because they're usually so high on themselves, right? When they're really beautiful, that they think there's something special, and they think anybody who's not up to their standards is beneath them. And I'm very grateful that I've come across quite a few people like that in my lifetime. And I'm not going to say like hundreds or anything, but I've probably met a good, or not just met, but known probably a good 30 of them at the very least. And I always find them interesting. It's that curious mind of mine, because it isn't the norm, right? Usually, they're very high on themselves. They think others are beneath them. Sometimes they're even unkind. And oh my goodness, she's just as beautiful, even more beautiful now than she was 20 or 30 years ago. And that's the truth. And she's a singer in her own band. So I thought that was pretty cool too. And she usually does spend the summer doing music festivals all summer. So I thought that was pretty neat. Yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice to see her. We had a few chats, and yeah, it was kind of nice. I didn't know a lot of people. I think just my family. Actually, my niece brought my great nieces too. They all had to have earplugs because they're just little kids, right? But it was a lot of fun, and it was really nice that they came out, because we were kind of like family, right? Just kind of hanging out together. And our tent setup was pretty cool. Yeah, my I helped I we, me and my brother-in-law, we went in Thursday night, and it took us a couple of hours, but we set both our tents up. And because it was raining, that we put tarps over the tents, made sure they were properly covered, so that, if the whole weekend was kind of a rainy kind of weekend, that we would still be able to be covered and watch the music. They on the stage, they had covers just in case it rained during the weekend. Thankfully, it just rained on Thursday night and a little bit on Friday afternoon. Come the evening, they got rid of the tents, right? Because they didn't need to cover up the stage or anything. But if it's raining, that's a lot of electrical on the stage, and I would assume that stuff's not waterproof in any way. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But then, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Oh, and the bonfires. Oh my goodness. Like the gentleman who put this on, and it's just one gentleman. He does it every year. He's been doing this music festival for 18 years. Next year will be the 19th year. And when I got there on Thursday, he was on his Zamboni, and he has acreage, right? He does have acreage, but it's his yard, right? Everybody's pitching tent up, and he was on his I call it a Zamboni, but it was like a track mower tractor, and he mowed like acres of land because the RVs were rolling into. So he had a backfield for all the RVs, and then the people who brought tents were just planting their tents in his front yard, and his front yard was a few acres too. To be honest, it was pretty big. But you guys will all see it because I'm putting a video together, and I walked around before all the tents went up when I was the only tent set up, and then I did one the next day when all the tents were all the tents were up. It was packed in there, and most of the people didn't even come till Saturday. But by Saturday, I was already into that volunteer, serving people during the pig roast and getting set up for the pig roast and cleaning up garbage and making sure that the outhouses, like he brought outhouses. I guess he rented them and they set them up in one of his fields, and then he even zambonied one of his fields so that his one field could be like parking spots for people who came that weekend. And then he did have a lady that went around and collected money. I'm sure lots of people didn't pay, but right, it's a charity that's on them, right? They were raising money for cancer that weekend, and with the hundreds and hundreds of people that showed up, the members of the bands they got in for free, and then the rest of us we all paid for our tickets, which were $25 for the weekend. But the meal that he served was well worth $25. If you went to a restaurant, you would easily pay $25 for that meal. And then after the pig roast, there were still pans, like great big pans like this, of pulled pork, right, from the pig roast. And so he had a fridge plugged out outside. And so I stacked them in the fridge, right? These extra trays so they wouldn't go bad, because right after dinner everybody was just back to partying. So they would have just sat on the tables, might have been picked at, but I think most of it would have gone bad because I left one pan out on the table and there was still some meat in it in the morning, right? And I left a big box of buns. The buns were so fresh, corn on the cob, coleslaw, baked potatoes, potato chips. Like he put on a really good event. Yeah, next year we'll make sure that he has some good volunteers that maybe that we can designate what they'll do so that they can enjoy the festival, but they don't have to be there for every aspect of what needs to be done during the weekend, because that was a lot of work. Like I said, I was done when I got home, but I was grateful for the neat experience, because it really was a really neat experience. Like I said, I have been a bit of an inside person, not a bit, a lot. In the past year, I have been delving deep. I was really trying to hone in on my craft. And in that year, it was in and out of understandings and experiences, I tell you, right? And it was hard for me to stay grounded in my life, to be honest, right? But I did it, and you know what? I benefited by making that. I'm not going to say sacrifice, because I'm somebody who's quite comfortable in hanging out with themselves. Hello, Eugene. I'm somebody who's quite comfortable in hanging out with themselves, but I know how important it is to be social, right? I know how important it is to connect with other people. And because we live in this digital age, right? It's just like the kids, it's just like the gamers, right? That you could easily be online all the time and miss out on life altogether. I'm so grateful that my channel is based on exploring the inside and the outside, because there's no excuse for me not to be on the outside. So I'm really glad I went to that music festival. My sister messaged me yesterday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. She goes, Cindy, we're going to a music festival today. Do you want to come? She says we're not staying over, we're not camping, we're just going for the day and part of the evening, but you're welcome to come. We'll pay for your ticket. And I just said, I just can't, right? I had a hard time just getting out of the chair all week, right? It took me that long to recoup. But again, in shining, right? Lots of us are shiners in other people's lives. And when you do that, you know how that feels. It can be quite draining sometimes, right? Sometimes I still think I'm 20 years old, and you would never have known that I wasn't 20 years old the way I gave her last weekend. But I sure felt it when it was time to crash. I crashed pretty good. But I still managed to get what I needed to get done. By the evening of the next day, I had done 5 loads of laundry. I had washed and cleaned all my camping gear and put it away. And I says, well, I'm going to leave my shower bag, right? I have a shower bag that I put my clothes and all my toiletries and stuff in. And I tear through it all weekend. And then I have another bag that's all my technical gear for my cameras and stuff, right? So it's all full of wires and microphones and camera holders and all kinds of stuff, right? And I tore through that thing all weekend too. I lost my favorite short cord, right? That just kind of charged my cameras up really, really fast because it was hard to keep my cameras charged because I was filming the entire time. I'm glad that I took my spare phone with me because the Pixel has a great camera on it. So hopefully that footage is really, really good. I had to go in and find it because of course it was in a different spot because it's an old phone with a different date. So they applied it to a different day, I think October of 25 or something. So I had to go back and find the footage. It wasn't too hard. And then when I found the footage, I went into my Google Photos and there's a button right there that says recently uploaded. All I had to do was push that button, and anything that got uploaded, right, to the cloud, to my Google Photos, it was right there at the top of the list. So I just got to figure out where I'm going to insert it, right? Because I'm not quite sure. I knew it was in the afternoon that I used that camera, but I used it in the evening time too because I had it on my tripod, right? I have special phone holders for my tripod. So I was filming, trying to be fair, making sure that I was just not filming my brother in law because he's pretty cool, right? He's a guitar player, but he's also a very good singer too, and he sings very well, and he's a showman too, which is pretty awesome when you can have that combination in somebody that plays in a band, and he's really good. So I got lots of footage of him, and so you'll get to meet my brother-in-law Tom, who's a super super nice guy. You'll get to see Alice. Well, you most of you guys know my sister Alice. You've met her before, right? So that's who I went to the festival with, was my sister Alice. So you'll see her and her daughter and her daughter's daughter, our mitochondrias moving forward. Right? And yeah, they know how to pop out the girls in my family, right? I have one nephew. He's not married yet, right? So I'm not quite sure if his mom's going to get any grandbabies from him. That's his choice and in his decision. He's still a fairly young man. I think he just turned 30 this year. Pretty incredible. 30 years old. Yeah, pretty pretty neat. If you really think about it, you know, time does go very very fast. But when you look at the memories and you look at events and experiences that you had way back when, you go, "Oh, that was so long ago." Right? For me, I just say, "Oh, I wish I could just go back there and do it again." Right? And you ask people that question lots of times. If you had the opportunity to do it over again, would there be anything that you would change? Right? For myself, I would have to say yes. No question. Right? Lots of people say that they wouldn't do it any differently than, how they did it, the first time around. But if you had the opportunity to do it again, oh my goodness, I couldn't even imagine. My life worked out the way it was supposed to work out. That's the truth, right? It worked out the way it was supposed to work out. But I would have made different choices, no question, especially with the mindset that I have now. And because of my understandings about failures and, my understandings about coping mechanisms, I would never have touched a gambling machine, right? I would never have touched a slot machine. And that's the truth, because that caused a lot of problems in my life, right? It contributed quite a bit to the problems that I had in my marriage, because it turned me into a different person, because I was so stressed about the amount of money that I was spending on those machines, and not just the money that I was spending on those machines, but the time I was spending. I like to play the slot machines, right? But I played poker too. There was a time when I thought that I was going to be a poker star, right? A professional poker player. I used to go in and I wouldn't gamble when I played poker with money, not very often at the very least, right? Um, but I would go into the free tournaments, and then I would rank in the free tournaments, take my winnings, and then I would try and win at the regular tables too. So I was pretty good at the poker. My youngest sister, Carolyn, she likes her poker. She plays poker every single day, and she does it at home, but she doesn't spend money. Like, she doesn't play the tournaments. She just plays for fun, and it's her way to connect socially online, because she doesn't have a lot of friends. I don't sure if in this moment I could say that she has any friends outside of her family, right? We're very usually a pretty private family. It was the way we were raised. And, my sister, Alice, is a little bit of a party girl, right? But, we each got to make that choice in our life. And sometimes in our experiences, we don't want any more experiences, if you get what I mean. And, my sister, Carolyn, she was quite happy in just being a mom and a wife, and just spending time with her own family and her sisters, right? So she entertains, and I wouldn't begrudge that, because even though it's still an addiction, because she does it every day. She loves playing poker. It's a part of her life, it's a part of her routine. And, right, habits are addictions, even if you don't spend any money on them. Um, she connects with other people, and she does have friends, because she goes into specific poker tables and stuff to play, because she likes specific people that she has met in that time that she's, you know, uh, been playing poker online. My other sisters, they like to play the slot machines. It's not for me to say, right? They know the experience that I had, they know the mess that it contributed into my life. But also, my sisters are pretty financially secure. So they don't worry when they, right, if they put $1,000 into a slot machine, it doesn't really make a big dent in their pocketbook. Whereas $1,000 for me, that would have been my rent, that would have been my house bills, and that would have been my groceries for the month, right? That would have been my budget for the whole month. And yet I gambled that. And I just didn't gamble that in a week. I gambled that quite often, a few times in a week, and spent a great deal of my time, right, covering my butt, being in a high stress mode as to how I'm going to cover my bills, how am I going to explain to my husband, right? And that was no way to live. And I had to quit. And it was, I hate to say, it was the best move I ever did. I say that all the time with all these things that I learned to overcome, or I come to understand, or I get to resolve in some way. I always said that was the best thing I ever did. There were a lot of amazing things that I did in my life. There really, really was. But to be honest, if I had that chance to go back and do it again, honestly, I would make so many different choices, right? Some of those people in my life would have been closer to me because I would have allowed it, right? You get to be a little bit standoffish. Trust becomes an issue when you have experiences in your childhood and young adulthood. I'm sure some of you guys have had the same thing happen to you, and it just makes you a little bit less distrusting of people, right? And because people wear masks now, that you really don't know who's got their poop together and who's a total mess, or who's somebody you can trust and who's somebody you can't trust. It's hard to tell. Now, if you're highly sensitive and you spend lots of time with these people, that right? Right? We feel people out, we know, but by that time, sometimes we've come to care for them, right? And when we come to care for people, sometimes we overlook and make allowances for their deficiencies, right? And they do the same for us, right? That's what accepting people for their faults are. But we are who we surround ourselves with. And if somebody's got something, right? I learned to gamble somewheres, and that's an honest truth, right? And it's who we surround ourselves with. And we learn to enjoy life and to make ourselves feel good and bring that happiness. And I used to say, make being bored fun. That's what I used to, how I used to look at my addictions, right? It was just something to do because I was bored and I wanted to have fun. And yeah, it sure did a trip on me, but it's not my place to tell anybody else that they've got to quit this, or right, or I'm not going to hang out with them, because that's a disservice. Because I can't imagine if the people that I cared about, that I had in my life, that they would say, I don't want to hang out with you anymore because you gamble, right? Or I don't want to hang out with you anymore because I'm having kids and getting married and you're not having kids and you're not getting married. Eventually I did get married. I didn't have kids, but we all change in that. But I would like to think that, just like my friend Gwen that I bumped into at this music festival this past weekend, that, after 20 years, I could bump into them and fall right back into that amazing relationship, even if that relationship was kinked or broken or tangled up in a way. But I think because I would, if I'm doing my life again, I'd be course correcting. I wouldn't be wasting time. It would just be course correcting. And I would have gotten here when YouTube first started up. I would have been the number one YouTuber. And there are YouTubers that started here. I know one of them, I met one of them. Uh, that started on YouTube just a few years after YouTube started. He was very smart and he knew that this was the direction that the world was going into, this age of AI learning, that it was going in this direction. And he knew, right? Even before it was happening, he knew that this platform was where he was supposed to be. And I would say he was one of the first 10 maybe people who started on YouTube. So that's pretty incredible, especially when I actually met him. I knew him, right? But I know a few people. I never met them personally, but, there are a few people who are on YouTube that are still on YouTube, and they are in one of those top tens to first start on YouTube too, right? It's pretty incredible. But I know for myself, I would have made different choices, right? But in making those choices, maybe I might not have made it here, right? Maybe I wouldn't be sitting here in this moment. Maybe I would have been doing something different. I don't think so, right? Well, it would have looked different for sure. It would have looked different. I would have looked different. I would have been different. But the topics that I served, yeah, that wouldn't change. I would still be exploring the inside and the outside. But I think by now I would be spending more time on the outside than I would be on the inside. Truthfully, right? Truthfully. Okay, let's come in and take a look at some of these comments. You guys are yapping away. Uh, oh, thank you, Owen. I appreciate you missed me last Sunday. Oh, that's really sweet. We did miss you, Cindy. I still visited your channel and watched past videos of yours, so I still felt that I was connecting with you, Cindy. Oh, that's nice of you, Tammy. I appreciate it. That's so nice of you. No worries, Cindy. I don't expect you to respond right away, and if you don't or can't, that's still okay. I appreciate that, Tammy. But at the same time, I want to connect too because you guys are just as important to me, right? You know, and you guys give me that grace, right? That privilege of, you guys come in and spend that time with me when you could be doing other things. You could be sitting out in the backyard reading a book, or you could be, if you're Andrew, you could be writing a letter, or, right? Or you're Owen. Owen could be making a video himself, or going for a walk, right? Or having a conversation with his mother, and yet you give me this time every single week, right? And you know and it's not because I have to, it's because I want to give to you guys. I can't always give the same as what you guys give to me, but I still want to give in the way that I can give. And that's, if you're going to shoot me a comment, right, on one of my videos or on one of my lives, right, or you're going to send me an email, or you're going to write me a letter, you're going to hear from me. For sure you are. Uh, oh, you do feel like home here, Owen? Oh, that's the best thing that anybody could say to me, right? Because that's the feeling that I want you guys to feel when you come and hang out with me, that we are at home, like we are friends, right? And, because I make a point of being as genuine as I possibly can, so that, if at some point we ever, if I say, I'm coming to the Bronx, right? That Bronx? I'm trying to think here. Oh, and yes, it is the Bronx, isn't it? Or is that Brooklyn? Brooklyn. I can't remember, Owen, if it's Brooklyn or the Bronx that you're in. You're in New York, but when I do, and I will come to New York because I want to go digging for Herkimer diamonds, right? I'm going to shoot you a message and say, do you want to go for coffee or something? And, I want you to be able to say, yeah, Cindy, right? I know this great coffee shop, or let's just grab coffees at this shop and I'll take you for a little bit of a tour of this part of the city and stuff, right? And that we're just going to be comfortable in that because I'm going to be the same person with you in that moment as I am right now, right? Yeah, that would be amazing. But thank you for saying that, Owen. I really appreciate that. Um, oh, Andrew's here. Hello, Andrew. Yeah. Yeah, Owen, you wouldn't believe how bagged I have been this week. Yeah. And I didn't take my iron pills during the music. I took them with me, but because I was eating so much, like hot dogs and like he really did put a do on, right? And he fed everybody very, very well. Plus, we brought lots of munchies and stuff with us. My sister brought lots of munchies with her. Oh, to be honest, you guys, talk about honesty. I don't know if you have these candies in the States, but they're puffy marshmallow strawberries rolled in red sugar and bananas that are, it's hard to describe them. They're almost not really a nugget, halfway between a nugget and a marshmallow, I would have to say. But they're shaped like little bananas. And then she went to the bulk barn and she made like a big bowl of these things. And I don't eat candy, you guys. I think even the week before I went to the music festival, I said I didn't eat candy. And I'm sitting there, right? I'm not even drinking. I didn't even drink anything like alcohol, right? There was one day I just drank tons of water. I must have drank like 6 bottles of water. It was so hot, right? But I don't drink alcohol. And I was just sitting in my camp chair, and I had my big um, Rubbermaid container in between mine and my sister's chair. And she had her cocktails, and she dropped a big bowl of the strawberries and banana candy mixture right on the table. And I looked at him. I said, Alice. She goes, you want some? Alice, I don't eat candy. You know I gave up candy. But she's a terrible instigator, my sister Alice. Like, she'll buy me the licorice candies at Christmas, knowing that I love the licorice candies, and the Quality Street chocolate. She'll buy me the Quality Street chocolates for Christmas. But that bowl of strawberry and banana candies, oh my goodness. I took a little handful, just a little handful. I think I took maybe 4 or 5, right, of this mixture of candy. And I just dropped them in my mouth, and that was just dropped them in, the whole handful was gone in like not even a minute. And then I ended up digging my hand in again and taking a big handful. And right, so I thought I was going to be ill because I don't do candy, right? And I haven't eaten candy in years. I've been tripped up at the Christmas time, right? But as soon as Boxing Day hits, that's it. Candy's done and I'm good for another year, right? 2 years if I don't get any candy for Christmas. But yeah, she got me good. I broke down and I ate those bananas and strawberries. But I'd be curious to know if you guys have those can. I'm just gonna cheat down at the bottom. Brooklyn, thank you, Owen. Yeah, let me know if you guys have those candies. Um, See if I can pull up a picture. If you guys had a picture, maybe you would know what I'm talking about. Um, See if I can find them. Oh, they're right here. The first picture. These are them, you guys. Here, see, can I get really close? These are them. Oh, you guys. If you don't get these in the States, I tell you, somebody should market them because they are so good. The bananas are a little bit harder. They're a different kind of candy, but they're a little bit harder. The strawberries are like a marshmallow, but then they're coated with a red sugar, like candy sparkly sugar. Oh, so good, you guys. Yeah, so they're called mallows. Huh, same company, same one came up just like that. But yeah, if you don't have those in the States, let me know. If you like candy, maybe I'll send you a couple of bags for candy for you guys to try because oh my goodness, they were the perfect music festival candy. You don't have those. Oh, well, check them out, Andrew. If you go to the international grocery store, check them out. They're really, really, really quite delicious. I'm very surprised that they're not in the States. So I will remember that so that maybe at Christmas time, if I send little packages out at all, that I'll think of you guys and give you guys little samples of them. But she did get me. I'm trying a new juice today. It is passion fruit and pineapple juice. No, mango juice. Passion juice and passion juice and mango juice is the one that I'm having today. Yesterday I had a really good one. It was guava juice and mango juice. And it was really kind of thick and creamy. This is actually just like water. It's not thick in any way. So I'm appreciating this one because it's actually um, taking my thirst away. Right? I have been quite thirsty, and I'm trying to take more fluids into me, and I stopped cutting up my iron pills, right? Because I don't digest the vitamins and the minerals very good, so I have to chop them up into little pieces so that they'll digest faster in my system. But this week, when I got home, I've just been popping an iron pill, and they seem to be working perfectly fine. And also, they're not burning my stomach like when I cut them. Because when I cut them, they start digesting really fast, and they give me a little bit of a tummy ache. Today, I went to the store and I got a bumblebee sting today. It was really strange. I didn't feel the sting when I got it, but then when my sister phoned me when I was at the store, I felt the pain and the itch, and I could see the stinger, and I pulled the stinger out, but I don't know if you can see where the stinger was right there on my finger right there. Yeah, I got stung with the bee, and I didn't even notice I got stung with my bee. And then it started swelling up and everything. But I don't have allergies to bees and bugs and stuff like that. You would think my sister Tracy does. She had a bad experience when she was a little kid, and we went for a trail walk in the forest, and she stepped in a wasp's nest, and she got stung a lot of times, and she ended up having a really really bad reaction, and we had to go back to the city and stuff. Yeah, and she did. Now she's really afraid of the stings and the bugs and stuff. I do get stung on occasion, but it has been years since I've got stung by a beer a bee. Normally the bugs don't appreciate me too much. I did get a few bug bites when I went away last weekend, but for the most part, it was pretty decent. I didn't get stung. I didn't get bit too much, and I got a little bit of sun, not a lot of sun, but I got a little bit of sun. But yeah, I'm good with that. Oh, and I wore hats too. I wore hats for the most part of the weekend. It was a beautiful weekend. It wasn't too hot. It had cooled off all week this week, you guys. It cooled right off to normal temperatures. I know they're dealing with forest fires and drought and heat waves in other parts of the world. Even in Ontario, the forest fires are still not yet under control. Manitoba is not struggling too bad. There are some forest fires. We did have some floods here. A couple of the communities up north flooded, and not too far up north either. Swan River, I've been to Swan River a few times, and it flooded pretty bad this year. But this week, so nice. It's not supposed to get hot again until I think Thursday or Friday, when we're going to start hitting the 30s again. But I don't know how long. And you can't really trust the Weather Channel because it just changes so much. Today it was supposed to rain. I waited for the rain, and there was no rain. I'm not complaining because we did have one day a few days ago, and it rained like late in the evening, like early in the morning, and then for the most part of the day it rained off and on. So it was a really nice, dark, dreary, rainy day, and I do appreciate those days. And I appreciated, right? Because you guys said that the the air conditioner doesn't bother you, like you guys don't hear it very well, but it's behind my camera, right? I'm thinking that's why, because I come in and I watch my live shows too. I don't watch this one over again, but my what's my good cheer, my Monday to Friday, I come in and I rewatch it myself because I'm I'm divvying out lessons, and I have to take those lessons out for myself. Um, but I don't hear the air conditioner either. But oh my goodness, it was so nice this week. I've got the air conditioner on right now, but I just turned it on like earlier in the afternoon because it was kind of cool up until then. But this week, 3 days, I think for 3 days, I didn't turn the air conditioner on until I went to bed. I only turned the air conditioner on when I went to bed because I like to be all cozy and cuddly in all my blankets. I still like to, right? And without the air conditioner on, even though things are still not super hot, it would still be too hot for all my quilts. So I turn the air conditioner on at night, and it makes it so I can sleep comfortable, right? And I slept quite well over the course of this week, and it was so nice to turn the air conditioner on because of the motor, right? And you guys know that I appreciate the quiet, right? I appreciate, like, I tone it out. I have a fan beside my bed. The motor's always going on the fan, right? But the air conditioner is pretty loud. I'm really surprised that it doesn't interfere with my live shows, right? But I'm grateful that it doesn't, but I'm surprised that it doesn't. And I appreciated turning off the air conditioner for a few days there just to have that peace and quiet. Like I said, I was pretty bagged out this week and I just relaxed. I still got things done, but I slowed my pace down, right? You wouldn't know it for what I got done. For the first couple of days when I got home, I was scrubbing down my camping gear, rearranging it, deciding what I needed for my next trip, what I could do without, make sure that the right things were in the right containers. And then I went through all my clothes and I had to wash them all and then fold them up and put them all away. I did 5 loads of laundry. Oh, and then I had to do all my bedding because I took one of my quilts and I take one of my good pillows with me and then there's the sheets and right, so I had to do all of that too. And then it's, after I've got that all done and I said I had my I would just decided I was going to leave my camera bag and my shower bag. And then I was just going to do that in the next couple of days, just at my desk, just leave them at my desk. And then somehow it got into me, and I spent another hour getting those all sorted, cleaned up, and put away too. And it felt so good. But soon as I got that stuff done, you guys, I crashed. Right? I couldn't even walk to the grocery store for a quart of milk if I wanted to, right? I just even talking myself in, okay, Cindy, time to start editing your video, right? And I kind of said, well, maybe I'll have it done for this Sunday, but then I decided no, I'm kind of useless this week, right? That I'm just going to relax and have a nice week. And also, I think the weather, the heat wave going away contributed to that comfortableness because all of a sudden it just felt like, right? It just felt like a release in the way I was feeling because I take to the cold a whole lot better than I take to the heat, in all honesty. Uh but yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Maybe everybody will get bananas and strawberry candies. They are quite delicious and they're quite addictive too. Yeah, I got hooked on them pretty good this past weekend. That darn sister of mine, right? She's a terrible instigator when it comes to candy. Um, but yeah, Andrew, if you come to that store and you see them, you know what they look like now, right? They're called mallow strawberries and bananas. And they're two different candies. They don't taste similar, they don't have the same texture. The only similarity is that they're the same size. And then I guess the picture I showed you, they have the same packaging, right? The same company puts them out. Uh, Andrews. Oh, Tammy has an international store. Oh, you'll love those candies, Tammy. Right? You'll love those candies. They are so good. And they're not expensive candies either. They're not very expensive. Maybe going to an international store, you might pay an extra dollar, but you'll get a big bag full of them. They'll last you all week. Well, maybe last you all day if you like them as much as I do. But Tammy says, I will go to one international store that I know where it is and I will look for those candies. I don't like sweets, I like more the sour and the salty things. Yes. Oh, finally! Something unique about you. We have lots of similarities sometimes that I notice, Tammy, but I do not like the sweet and sour candies. Not in the least. Right? I always have to look at the packaging because, oh, nothing like when you're looking for something sweet and fruity and you're getting something that just tastes like vinegar. Not my not my thing. But the salt is not necessarily bad. There are even times in my life where I actually seek out the salt, right? Like I did that today when I went to the store. I went, oh, I need some trail mix. I'm going to go for a walk in the next couple of days, a nice long walk, get outside because it was really nice to walk to the grocery store. Today I went and took a different route. It was not tree hugging today, but I appreciated the breeze and the sun and the clouds and the trees and the flowers. And I thought to myself, yeah, you're going for a walk in the next couple of days, Cindy, and I think you should get some trail mix. But what I was thinking about the trail mix was the salt, right? And when I remember my grandmother used to say that if you crave it, your body sometimes needs it, right? And I know that to be true for myself. For sure I do. It's like when I went to the music festival this past weekend and I drank all that water. I needed that water. I searched out that water. I was really grateful because I froze a lot of bottled water to use as like ice to keep my sausages and all my meat uh, cold and frozen over the weekend. But the gentleman who put the festival on, he put a fridge outside and he plugged it into the side of his house and he put two great big 48 packs of bottled water in that fridge. And I was in and out of that fridge all weekend. Yeah, grabbing water. It was much appreciated. I drank a lot of water this past weekend. Yeah. Oh my goodness, did I make it down to the bottom of the comments already? Time is 8:59, right on time too, you guys. I did it. Right? Like I said, there's going to come a time where I'm not going to be able to keep up on the comments, especially you guys chat just as much as I do. Andrew, have you heard anything about your operation? Did you get a date? And did you have any follow ups or anything in getting to know what's going on with that operation of yours? Right? I hope everything is on track with that and that you don't have to wait too long. It would be kind of nice if you had that operation before fall so that you don't have that problem of slipping on ice or trudging through snow when you're trying to heal because that would be absolutely that would be oh, you're having some dental work done. Do you get to choose the dates for your knee surgery, Andrew? I guess because the health insurance is a little bit different that you guys get to book. See, our health insurance, we don't pay for it. So they kind of let us know when the date is in the surgeries or in the procedures that you have, right? And and so we don't get much of a choice in that. I mean, we can cancel a date for surgery, but we can't say, oh, can I have it on the 26th of February? But if you're paying for it, right, and you don't have that health insurance, then I would assume that you would just set the date yourself that this is when you're available to have that surgery. But yeah, I would assume if you need dental work done, that's going to cost a few dollars. And so you got to make sure that everything is timed properly so it doesn't impact your life. But I still would like to think that if you had, uh, Andrew, can anybody come and stay with you, Andrew? Can anybody come and stay with you? Right? Like, I'm going to be here, Andrew. Like, if you could tell your doctors that you'll have somebody online that you can connect with if you have any problems. I know I'm in a different country, let alone the same city, but, but, the fact that you're not all by yourself, right? Yeah. I know you live in a small apartment, Andrew, but somebody could be there. You could be on your own, and then somebody could check on you a couple of times a day. That would be kind of nice. Ah, oh, I like how you say that, Andrew. Right? Couple of people have kindly said I can stay in their homes, but I don't think either has internet, and I have to have access. Right? You're staying connected, right? With this age of AI learning. I love that you feel that it's a need, that you have to have access. Oh, I like that. That you have to have a live in arrangement. Oh, but you have to have the surgery, right? It's adapt and conquer, ride the waves. I tell my sister all the time, you have to do whatever you have to do, you have to do it, right? And just keep the best optimistic attitude about the process as you possibly can, right? Lots of times we have to go through things that we would prefer not to, right? I prefer not to go for all these doctor's appointments, right? I spent the past 20 years in that prideful attitude of saying, I'm so grateful for my good health, right? And now I feel like a patient myself. I just don't want to get stuck in that system. Uh, I really think I could mostly look after myself on my own little place. I've done it before after surgery, though I know this is more extreme. If at least for a week or two, Andrew, if you could do that, just because you're going to be doing the physio and stuff, right? So you want to make sure that you don't have a fall, that you don't injure yourself in the process, right? I hope you have a good pair of Velcro slippers, right? Because you may be a little bit swollen and stuff when you come home. So it would be good if you had a pair of sandals or slip ons that you can adjust with the Velcro a little bit to make sure that they're comfortable and that they stay on your feet good. Yeah. Aw. Don't postpone it though, just because you're uncomfortable. Don't stall yourself out. First opportunity, you can get that done. Just get it done. The sooner you get it done, the sooner it's over. Okay, you guys, that's my live tonight. Um, oh, yeah, Tommy, you'll be able to give a ton of advice for Andrew in that recovery, right? Tammy doesn't live too far away from you, Andrew. I think she's the next state over, if I'm correct, right? Because Andrew is in Indiana and Tammy is in Michigan. I think if you look at a map, that's pretty close to each other. Aw. Thank you, Owen. Everybody who popped in tonight, thank you for coming in. I will have that video edit this week. I'll shoot whoever I have emails for or I can message and get a hold of. I'll let you know on Saturday if I post it on Saturday. If it's going to be a premiere on Sunday, I'll meet you in the comments. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next Sunday.